Well, it's preparing to live stream it. I really have doubt this is what I want.
Well, it says it's now streaming live on YouTube.
All right. Oh boy.
Hi.
Well, the question is that where people are looking?
Jorge seems to be among the missing.
Unlikely.
I sent my friends to YouTube.
We
You
are,
go
but
to
it's not the
Facebook Live
event.
also?
Now what?
Are we doing Facebook Live also?
No.
Oh, okay.
See, on YouTube, I'm still got this live event will begin in a few moments.
Here we are.
Oh, it's us.
So are we in the right place?
No, it's its own stream.
Oh.
A different place.
So it's if it in my world, I would just try and I would snag
Redirect
the
it?
link to this and put it in the description of that, and maybe there's a way to update the graphic on that too. I don't know how difficult that is to do. I've never set up a YouTube stream in advance before.
Ah.
But I'm also quite confident that's not something you even can do with Zoom the way it's set up, because it does that handshake when you click the button.
What link did you use, Nick?
I'm sorry.
What link did you use?
So there's everybody should have this in your screen right now at the top. It says live on YouTube. There's a little drop down arrow. You can click on that and it'll show you. There's a copy streaming link. Or you can just click on view stream on YouTube and it will just take you to a browser tab with that. I just copied it and sent it to my phone.
So technically, if Jason were to copy the streaming link and put it on the one that he already sent, people should be able to click that and get to it.
Then all they would have to do is just click it. Yep.
Are you trying that, Jason?
Trying.
Okay.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Says recording live on YouTube.
Yes, but it's
That's
not
you,
going
Howard.
to the right place.
Just your feed is going to YouTube right now, though, Howard.
No, Howard, the whole thing is going to YouTube.
I just got an update on the official YouTube link that says this event will begin in 2 minutes.
Okay, well, there you go.
And there's 48 people waiting.
Going to YouTube.
Well, there you go.
Well, I don't know. It's running. On YouTube.
Well, yeah, but the thing is it's not the same.
Well, I don't know. It's running. Sorry, I need to mute it.
Oh, delay.
We're in a loop.
That's kind of scary.
We just went back in time.
Link we said it was going to be on, but it's really not on there. We're on live on YouTube.
And here's my cat to join us because he always does.
Well, officially, it is broadcasting on that new link. And this is going to drive me nuts because I get to hear myself twice.
That just meant 4 times.
That's right. And you just said that just meant 4 times the first time. This is going to be a special. And I get to do it with Nick. So it all works out in my nightmare land.
Okay, so are we on the correct YouTube place now or not?
We are not. We are still on a new. There are 40 waiting, so I better figure this out.
Yep. Is there not a way to like post just the link to the new YouTube feed?
I did, but
Okay.
You can hear the echo on that.
all right, how do I get this?
Do all of you, do you see it? Are we all seeing the same grid? I'm very curious.
No.
Who's in the upper left corner for you?
Nancy.
Nancy, then me, then Karen, then Richard.
Gary.
Karen,
Coby.
me, Carol, Richard.
It's
Oh, it
Nancy.
changes after that. Interesting.
Carol. Yeah.
Is everyone second, like in the middle top for themselves?
No, I'm in the first.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm second on the top.
I'm second on the top, yes.
And we do have 20 people watching the correct channel now, so that's a positive. And
Yay!
so
They're moving.
welcome.
Hello,
Now if I can
people.
figure out how to get the other 36 over here.
So can you share the link to the correct channel in the chat?
You have it, Mike, right now. If you just click on the little live on YouTube,
Oh,
I can actually just do this real quick.
Woohoo!
that link.
So those of you watching, thank you for your attention while we work through a few technical difficulties.
Please stand by.
Who's watching?
And Jorge's disappeared again. He keeps disappearing.
It does that because I'm toggling between, because I'm on my iPad, so it toggles between apps.
Got it.
No drinking in your costume.
I don't have a costume. So there.
I did all my drinking ahead of time.
Excellent. As it should be.
Okay, well.
Hold on to see if he's got anything with Cathey. I'm gonna hang in there, they're working out the problems.
Who can juggle?
You can. All right, are you going yet?
Just let me know when we are officially ready.
Right.
And thank you everyone for your patience as we get there.
Are you seeing anything? Well, have you tried?
Okay, they're.
You know,
I don't
you
know,
know,
if
there's
they're
that
coming over to the new one or leaving the old one.
Yeah, we're seeing they're joking around, waiting to make sure all the technical stuff is correct. But if you're just watching it on the TV,
It's
there's gonna be that one audience member that's yelling at us, going, "This is how you do it."
but
Yeah, yeah, I know. There's some guy that's done it 3 times today.
Eric, is that you there?
Okay, Nick. Any idea how I enable comments so at least people can cuss at us directly on the old event?
On the old event?
Yeah.
Oh, there's not, the comments are not enabled.
No, apparently not.
Is there a way that you can begin that live stream and just say, "Hey, everybody, click the link below me"?
I have multiple cameras and all of them are tied up on the same.
Now it has.
What about on your phone?
They couldn't get it on the TV, but they got it on the phone.
But what did they get?
I guess this, what's being broadcast.
They're seeing this?
Yes, but they couldn't see it on the TV.
Let's see. How's it starting?
Once again, thank you all for your patience as we are working through technical difficulties.
I'm going to read to you from a book. Unknit, cockpit, coal pit, armpit, intromit, pretermit, intermit, manumit. It's a rhyming dictionary. It's going to be a little.
I was going to say, it sounds like a version of Dr.
It is not
Seuss.
letting me stream.
No, this isn't tickling your artistic bones, y'all.
I thought you were reading like Dr. Seuss's journal.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too.
This is where it
That
gets
was
really
Dr.
existential.
That's what it was.
Impermeability, irrevocability, communicability, impracticability, imperishability, invariability. This is a hard one to do.
I like it.
There's so many.
Okay.
My daughter just told me that she's got us on YouTube on her phone and sees what I'm looking at on the screen here.
Well, good. So she followed the link. That's good. Hey, guys.
Okay. Well, then I think we should officially begin.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
And while we're going, I'll try and get people over here.
Awesome. Sounds fabulous. Okay. Well, I'm going to officially kick us off then. Welcome. My name is Carol M. Rice. I'm the artistic director of Rover Drama Works and the playwright of the show you're about to see. So before we officially begin, I just want to give you a little bit of background about this project. This is a reunion reading of Around the World in 80 Days, which Rover Drama Works produced all the way back in March of 2009 at the Courtyard Theater of Plano in Texas. But the project as a whole actually started in 2008. My husband, Jason, and I were in Chicago, and we saw this amazing new production of Around the World in 80 Days at the Looking Glass Theater. And so we got back into town and inquired about the rights for our next season, and they said we would be able to do the show. So we started working on it, and the law firm of Gay, McCall, Isaacs, Gordon, and Roberts agreed to sponsor the show. Jason was going to direct. And then Looking Glass decided they were going to tour the show, so we didn't have the rights anymore. Okay, so I started reading and found another brilliant version of the script and applied for the rights and waited. Now, see, usually these are granted pretty quickly, but not this time. So finally, I contacted the publisher and was told, oh, you should have gotten an email. Yeah, that version was restricted in this area. So by now, we are about a month out from auditions. And Jason came across a musical version written by, get this, Orson Welles and Cole Porter. And so he started making inquiries. And so in no time, he was on first name basis with these two amazing librarians at the Library of Congress as they hunted down versions of the libretto. And they finally collected all the pieces and parts. And so then he hunted down and got rights to the script pretty easily, but still needed to acquire the American performance rights for the music. That was still in possession of the Porter estate. So a few more days of hunting, and he had a lawyer for the estate on the phone. He said, I'm calling about performance rights for a musical score you may not even know that you have, a musical with Orson Welles. And it turns out that this lawyer did know about it because only 2 days before, one of the sources Jason had talked to in England while collecting the libretto had called this lawyer and contractually secured the American re-debut of the work. So kind of sneaky and underhanded. But the last time Jason checked, this guy still hadn't amassed the money for the actual production nearly 12 years later. So karma kind of won that one. So by this time, I have read every crappy version of Around the World on the Planet, and there are lots of them. So a couple of people had told me, oh, you're a playwright, just write one. Well, it's not as easy as that. But there was something in nearly every version that I really liked. And so I figured I could cobble something together. And then I read the novel. And it turns out that every cool thing in those other versions was all Jules Verne. So I spent about 10 days writing a script that was faithful to the novel as much as I could get. We did a reading in my living room, and about a week out from auditions, we finally had our script. So then after the show ran in 2009, I made a few changes, and that edited version is what you guys are seeing tonight. Okay, so before we get underway, I want to introduce a few people. First of all, Jason Rice served as the director of the original production, and he'll be lurking in the background, sharing slides from that show as appropriate. Now, returning as Phileas Fogg, we want to welcome the amazing Gary Anderson. His loyal servant Passepartout is played by Coby Cathey, reprising his role. Mike Hathaway also returns as the scheming detective Fix. And we're delighted to welcome back Howard Korn, playing Sir Francis Cromarty, Ralph, and others. And then we have the fabulous Nancy Lamb returning as Forrester, a merchant, and others. And then joining us all the way from Washington, we want to welcome back Nick Pfost as the Parsee guide, the Clerk, Times, and others. And then from Oklahoma, we welcome back Richard Russell as Stewart, the Judge, the Telegraph, and others. Now, new to us for this reading are Rover favorites, Jorge Martin Lara as Mudge, the Consul Sullivan, and others, and Eddy Herring as Fallentin, Bunsby, the Standard, and others. And then also new to the reading is the lovely Jessica Adame as Aouda. Our wonderful stage manager from the original production, Karen Robinson, is returning to help us along with the stage direction. She'll be reading those as we go. We will take a very brief 3-minute intermission. If you like what you see, your donations are always welcome, of course, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we will continue to post videos of past productions and readings like this until we're able to get back to the theater. So thank you for joining us. You are why we do this. Enjoy the show.
Around the World in 80 Days. The Reform Club lights up on Stewart, Sullivan, Ralph, Flanagan at table. Fallentin stands by, behind a newspaper. The men at the table are casually playing whist.
Well, Ralph, what about that robbery?
No, I should like to forget that for just now.
The bank will lose the money.
On the contrary, I hope we may put our hands on the robber. Skillful detectives have been sent to all the principal ports of America and the continent.
But have you got the robber's description?
Well, in the first place, he's no robber at all.
What? A fellow who makes off with £50,000, no robber?
No.
Perhaps he's a barrister then.
Flanagan's closing hand. He and Ralph rise from the table as Fogg appears from behind the exactly folded paper.
The Daily Telegraph says that he is a gentleman.
A gentleman, Mr. Fogg?
There are real grounds for supposing that the thief did not belong to a professional band.
A well-dressed gentleman was observed going to and fro in the paying room where the crime was committed.
Gentlemen?
Fallentin plays, followed by Stewart, won by Fogg. The game is nearly at the half hour as Straff hour strikes, and Fogg rises.
Your winnings to your charities as always.
Thank you, Flanagan.
Good evening, Fogg.
Good evening, Fogg.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Exit
Amazing.
as half
Best
hour
stroke
strikes.
of 11:30 every night, without fail.
Never anxious, always prepared, and infuriatingly nice.
The luxury of bachelorhood met with the precision of modern engineering. Eh, Stuart?
Yet not an engineer or architect whom I'm acquainted with.
No banker or trader that I have ever seen. He is a complete mystery in the matters of his income.
I'd say from his expertise of foods and customs the world round, he's a diplomat or traveler, but I cannot recall ever once seeing him outside London, even outside this reform club, unless it was in transit to or from his apartment in here.
Gentlemen, I dare say that were we less frugal, allowing more than a guinea to a rubber, he could well make us after living from our daily game of whist.
The house at Savile Row. Fogg enters his home to Forrester waiting. As the clock begins to strike 12, they begin the routine of taking Fogg's coat.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, James. Good night.
Fogg exits as the final stroke of 12 hits. The abode of Lord Longferry. A knock at the door. Passepartout enters and opens it. A policeman is there with a very drunk Lord Longferry on his shoulder.
Here you are, my lord.
Where am I?
Thank you, monsieur. I will take him from here.
You're a good man, Passepartout. I don't know how you do it, bloody drunk.
With a look of disgust at Lord Longferry, he tips his hat to Passepartout and exits.
Where am I?
Home, monsieur.
Home?
Oui, the policeman brought you home from the Haymarket again, monsieur, just like yesterday and the day before that.
What time is it?
12 minutes past 7 in the morning, monsieur.
Oh, good. Just in time for bed.
Monsieur, would it not be wise to spend less time in the taverns?
Ah!
But you make a spectacle of yourself, my lord. You're becoming a laughing stock among your peers at Parliament. It's all over the streets.
Shut up, Frenchman. You don't know anything.
But...
Get out of here. I don't need a blasted servant telling me what to do.
As you wish, monsieur. I cannot serve a man I do not respect.
Wait a minute. You have to help me to bed.
You do not need a bed, monsieur. Just a softer gutter. Good day.
The house at Savile Row. Fogg, alone, no jacket, has placed a cloth around his neck to shave. He reaches his hands down as to a wash basin and halts as it is not there. He freezes as Forrester hurries on with it to hold where Fogg's hands were headed. Fogg decides to complete the task. He places his hands in the basin and abruptly recoils.
James, this is 84 degrees Fahrenheit.
But it should be 86. Take an advertisement.
Manservant to Mr. Phileas Fogg. Prompt, precise, and creditable. Provide references to begin at once.
Yes, Mr. Fogg, for the morning edition.
He exits. Fogg removes the cloth, folds it carefully, and exits. Forrester returns immediately with Passepartout.
He lives alone, no wife nor child, and is exactitude personified, never in a hurry, yet always ready, economical in all his steps and his motions. He is the most deliberate person in the world, yet always reaching his destination at the exact moment.
Excellent. I find my master whimsical and irregular, constantly running about the countryside or on the lookout for adventure or worse, passing the nights in the Haymarket taverns, brought home on policemen's shoulders. I am desirous of respecting the gentlemen whom I serve. This regular life will suit me only too well.
The new servant.
You are a Frenchman, I believe, and your name is John?
Jean, if monsieur pleases. Jean Passepartout, manservant most recently to Lord Longferry. But I've had several trades. I've been an itinerant singer, a circus rider, a professor of gymnastics. I was a sergeant fireman at Paris and assisted many a big fire. But I quitted France 5 years ago and, wishing to taste the sweets of domestic life, took service as a valet here in England. I have come to Monsieur in the hope of living a tranquil life and forgetting even the name of Passepartout.
Passepartout suits me. You are well recommended to me. You know my conditions.
Yes, monsieur.
Good. What time do you have?
24 minutes after 11.
You are slow.
Pardon me, monsieur. That is impossible. This is my grandfather's watch. It is a perfect timepiece, has always run flawlessly on buried time. I assure you, it has never been a problem.
You are 4 minutes too slow. No matter. It's enough to mention the error. Now, from this moment, 29 minutes after 11 a.m. this Wednesday, 2nd October, you are in my service.
Fogg exits.
Your duties, sir.
Program of the day, the routine of the house. 8 in the morning, Phileas Fogg awake. 23 minutes past 8, tea and toast. 37 minutes past 9, shaving water at 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Whew, he is precise. 20 minutes before 10, toilet. 11:30 a.m., leave for the Reform Club. 11:30 p.m., return from Reform Club. 12 o'clock, retire. Oh, this is just what I wanted. We shall get along together, Mr. Fogg and I. What a domestic and regular gentleman, a real machine. Well, I don't mind serving a machine.
Reform Club lights up as before. Fogg and Fallentin play Flanagan and Stewart, Ralph standing, Sullivan sitting by.
As soon as the robbery was discovered, detectives were dispatched to Liverpool, Glasgow, Suez, Brindisi, and New York, with a reward of £2,000 and 5% on the sum recovered.
And detectives are scrutinizing the railways and domestic ports.
I maintain the chances are in the favor of the thief.
But where can he fly to? No country is safe for him.
Pshaw.
Where could he go then?
Oh, I don't know. The world is big enough.
It was once. Cut, sir.
What do you mean once? Has the world grown smaller?
Certainly. I agree with Mr. Fogg. The world has grown smaller since a man can now go round it 10 times more quickly than 100 years ago. And that's why the search for this thief will be more than likely to succeed.
And also why the thief can get away more easily.
Be so good as to play, Mr. Stewart.
You have a strange way, Ralph, of proving that the world has grown smaller. So because you can go around it in 3 months...
In 80 days.
That is true, gentlemen. Only 80 days now that the section between Rothal and Allahabad on the Great Indian Peninsula Railway has been opened.
Ridiculous.
Here is the estimate made by the Daily Telegraph. London to Suez-Brindisi by railway and steamboat, 7 days. From Suez to Bombay by steamer, 13. From Bombay to Calcutta by rail, 3. From Calcutta to Hong Kong by steamer, 13. Hong Kong to Yokohama, Japan by steamer, 6. From Yokohama to San Francisco by steamer, 22. From San Francisco to London to New York by railway, 7. From New York to London by steamer and rail, 9. Total 80 days.
You see, in 80 days.
But that doesn't take into account bad weather, contrary winds, shipwrecks, railway accidents, and so on.
All included.
But suppose the Hindus or Indians pull up the rails.
All included. 2 trumps.
You are right, theoretically, Mr. Fogg. But practically?
Practically also, Mr. Stewart.
I'd like to see you do it in 80 days.
That depends on you. Shall we go?
Heaven preserve me, but I would wager £4,000 that such a journey made under these conditions is impossible.
Quite possible, on the contrary.
Well, make it then.
The journey round the world in 80 days?
Yes.
I should like nothing better.
When?
At once. Only I warn you, I shall do it at your expense.
It's absurd. Come, let's continue with the game.
Deal over again, then. There's a false deal.
Well, Mr. Fogg, it shall be so. I will wager 4,000 on it.
Calm yourself, Mr. Stewart. It's only a joke.
When I say I'll wager, I mean it.
All right. I have a deposit of £20,000 at Barings, which I will willingly risk upon it.
£20,000? £20,000 which you would lose by a single unforeseen delay.
The unforeseen does not exist.
But, Mr. Fogg, 80 days are only the estimate of the least possible time in which the journey can be made.
A well-used minimum suffices for everything.
But in order to exceed it, you must jump mathematically from the trains upon the steamers, and from the steamers upon the trains again.
I will jump mathematically.
You are joking.
A true Englishman doesn't joke when he is talking about so serious a thing as a wager. I will bet £20,000 against anyone who wishes that I will make the tour of the world in 80 days or less, in 1920 hours, or 115,200 minutes. Do you accept?
We
accept.
Accepts.
Good. The train leaves for Dover at 9:15. I will take it.
This very evening?
This very evening. As today is Wednesday, the 2nd of October, I shall be due in London in this very room of the Reform Club on Saturday, the 21st of December at 9 p.m. Or else the £20,000 now deposited in my name at Barings will belong to you in fact and in right. Gentlemen, here is a check for the amount.
Let me take your hand that you may make preparations.
I am quite ready now. Diamonds or trumps, be so good as to play, gentlemen.
Sullivan and Ralph begin to pace in disbelief as the final hand is played, Fogg winning. He stands to leave and the men are completely disoriented by his early exit.
Your charities to... Your winnings to your charities as always, Fogg?
Yes, thank you, Flanagan. Oh, save this one, please.
He exits as the men look after him in bewilderment. The house on Savile Row. Passepartout is surveying his dominion.
Everything regulated every hour, regulated and foreseen. Even his wardrobe, ample and in the best taste. Each pair of trousers, coat and vest bears a number, indicating the time of year and the season to be laid up for wearing. Even shoes. Oh yes, this I can do.
He sits happily in a high-backed chair facing away from the room's entrance. After a beat, Fogg enters.
Passepartout!
Passepartout starts but doesn't respond as he knows his master shouldn't be home yet.
Passepartout! I've called you twice.
But it is not midnight.
I know. Come, we start for Dover and Calais in 10 minutes.
Monsieur is going to leave home?
Yes, we are going round the world.
Round the world?
In 80 days. So we haven't a moment to lose.
But the trunks?
Oh, we'll have no trunks, only a carpet bag with 2 shirts and 3 pairs of stockings for me and the same for you. We'll buy our clothes on the way. Bring down my mackintosh and traveling cloak and some stout shoes, though we shall do a little walking. Make haste.
And I, who wanted to remain quiet.
Passepartout exits as Fogg re-enters with bound train steamer schedule, studying it. Passepartout enters immediately with bag and cloaks.
Bradshaw's Continental Railway Steam Transit and General Guide, with its timetable showing the arrival and departure of steamers and railways.
Yes, monsieur.
Our travel funds?
Yes, monsieur.
£20,000.
Yes, monsieur. £20,000?
You shall keep the carpet bag. Take good care of it.
Yes, monsieur.
You have forgotten nothing?
Nothing, monsieur.
Come.
They exit the front door and start to the railway. A beggar woman carrying a child accosts Fogg.
Good sir, alms for a poor woman and child.
Oh, here, my good woman. I'm glad that I met you.
But sir...
She turns then in confusion to Passepartout, who doffs his cap to her. Amazed and feeling blessed, she exits. Suddenly, Passepartout stops.
Oh, no.
What's the matter?
Alas, in my hurry, I forgot. I forgot
What?
to turn off the gas in my room.
Very well. It will burn at your expense for 1920 hours. Oh, a gross piece of negligence. At the rate of 2½ cubic feet per hour and 3 farthings per cubic foot, on the day of our return you will owe me exactly 3 shillings and 10 pence farthing.
Yes, monsieur.
The consul's office at Suez.
So you say, Consul, that this steamer is never behind time.
Have patience, Mr. Fix. She'll not be late, but I didn't realise. What I really didn't see is how you'll be able to recognise your man from the description you have, even if he is on board the Magnolia.
Yeah, the man rather feels the presence of these fellas, Consul, than recognises them. You must have a scent for them, and a scent is like a sixth sense, which combines hearing and seeing and smelling. Well, I've arrested more than these gentlemen in my time, and if my thief is on board, he'll not slip through my fingers. Yeah, it's a magnificent robbery, Consul. £55,000. We don't often have such windfalls. Others are getting to be so contemptible nowadays. A fella gets on for a handful of shillings.
Yes, quite. But the description which you have there has a singular resemblance to an honest man.
Yeah, well, great robbers always resemble honest men. It's the fellas with the rascally faces who only have the one course to take, and that's to remain honest. Otherwise, they'd be arrested offhand.
Pardonnez-moi, monsieur. I must get my master's passport vised.
This is not your passport.
Fix looks at it and his eyes grow wide.
This is not your passport.
No, it is my master's.
And your master is?
He stayed on board.
Oh, well, he must come to the consul in person as to establish his identity.
Oh, is that necessary?
Indeed, quite necessary.
Then I'll go fetch my master. I fear he won't be much pleased to be disturbed.
Consul, I believe that my man is this passenger on board the Magnolia. I've just seen his passport.
You know he's not obliged to have his passport countersigned.
If he's as shrewd as I think he is, Consul, he will come. Passport's only good for annoying honest folks and aiding in the flight of rogues. I hope you'll not visa the passport.
Well, if the passport is genuine, I have no right to refuse it.
But I must keep this man here until I can get a warrant to arrest him from London.
Mr. Fix, I cannot.
He is interrupted by the entrance of Fogg and Passepartout.
Good morning, sir. I must ask you to do me a favour to visa my passport.
You are Mr. Phileas Fogg?
I am.
And this is your servant?
He is. A Frenchman, Jean Passepartout.
You're from London?
Yes.
And you're going...
to Bombay.
Do you know that a visa is useless, that no passport is required?
I know it, sir, but I wish to prove by your visa that I came by Suez.
Very well, sir. Here you are.
Good day to you.
Well?
He looks like and acts like a perfectly honest man.
That's not the question. Do you not think, Consul, that this gentleman resembles feature by feature the robber whose deception I have received?
Well, I can see that, but then, all the descriptions...
Oh, I'll make certain of it. I'll have a word with the servant. He's a Frenchman and can't help talking. Excuse me, Consul. Well, my friend, is your passport visaed?
Ah, it's you. It is. Is it, monsieur? Thanks, yes. The passport is all right.
Oh, you're just doing a bit of sightseeing?
Yes, but we travel so fast that I seem to be journeying in a dream. So, this is Suez?
Yes.
Just think, monsieur, I had no idea that we should go farther than Paris. And that I saw Paris was between 20 minutes past 7 and 20 minutes before 9 in the morning.
Oh, so you're in a great hurry then?
I am not, but my master is. By the way, I must buy some shoes and shirts. We came away without trunks, only with a carpet bag.
Oh, well, I will show you an excellent shop for getting what you want.
Monsieur is very kind. Above all, don't let me lose the steamer.
Oh, you have plenty of time. It's only 12 o'clock.
12? Why, it's only 8 minutes before 10.
Your watch is slow.
My watch? This is my grandfather's watch. It is a perfect chronometer, look you. It doesn't vary 5 minutes inside a year.
Oh, I see how it is. You kept London time, which is 2 hours behind that of Suez. You ought to regulate your watch at noon in each country.
I regulate my watch? Never.
Well, then it will never agree with the sun.
So much the worse for the sun, monsieur. The sun will be wrong then.
Oh, so you left London rather hastily then.
I rather think so. Last Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the evening, Monsieur Fogg came home from his club, and 3/4 of an hour afterwards, we were off.
But where is your master going?
Always straight ahead. He's going round the world.
Round the world?
Yes, in 80 days.
Why would he try to go around the world in such a ridiculous amount of time?
My master has made a wager.
Oh, Mr. Fogg's a character, is he?
I should say so.
Oh. Is he rich?
No doubt, for he is carrying an enormous sum in a brand new banknotes with him, and he doesn't spare some money on the way either. He's offered a very large reward to the engineer of the Magnolia if he gets to us to Bombay well in advance of that time.
And have you known your master a long time?
Well, no. I entered his service the very day we left London.
Indeed.
Frankly, I know very little about my master, only that he lives a solitary, ordered existence in London and wants for nothing. I was looking forward to working for such a man. How I long for a regimented life. How well, perhaps on our return.
But for now, you're off to Bombay on the Magnolia.
Oui. Is Bombay far from here?
Oh, it's 10 days voyage by sea.
The deuce. There is one thing that worries me, my Bernard.
What Bernard?
My gas Bernard, which I forgot to turn off, and which at this moment burning at my expense. I lose 2 shillings every 24 hours, exactly 6 pence more than I earn. You will understand that so long as our journey.
He exits into a shop, continuing to talk on about his Bernard.
Consul, I no longer have any doubt I've spotted my man. He passes himself as an odd stick who's going around the world in 80 days.
But why was this robber so anxious to prove by the visa that he has actually passed through Suez?
I have no idea, but I must telegraph to London for a warrant of arrest to be dispatched instantly to Bombay. I can take passage on board the Magnolia, follow my road to India, and there, on English ground, arrest him politely, with my warrant in my hand and my hand on his shoulder.
The papers, a group of 3 newspapers, battle for supremacy: the Telegraph, the Times, and the Standard.
Eccentric takes waiter to Circle Globe.
Impossible bet spreads like wildfire.
Phileas Fogg bonds post on London Exchange at ludicrous odds.
Experts warn against 5-to-1 notes as Fogg sure to fail. Thousands at risk.
New railways assure Fogg clear travel.
Madness.
Lunatic.
Fogg, known as shrewd planner, certain to...
As demonstrated by our extensive evaluation from all points of view, the Royal Geographic Bulletin declares the entire enterprise utter and complete folly.
Origin Edwise.
Phileas Fogg bonds fall 10-1.
20-1.
35-1.
50-1.
75-1. 100-1.
He
will fail.
and a portrait of the adventurer, a gentle bearded Lord Byron, and a stouter heart.
95 possible delays to scuttle Fogg's folly. Insanity.
American plains forecast blizzards. Continent impassable. Fog to be lost in the fog banks.
Mathematical precision and fortune favor the brave traveler. Success is certain.
Never.
Ridiculous.
All three.
Likely. Rock of Gibraltar.
Nonsense. Fairy tales. Deranged.
Warrant issued to Bombay this morning. Stop. Phileas Fogg to be arrested on charge of Bank of England robbery. Stop.
Queen's Rose Garden likely to suffer frost.
Prime Minister announces coal franchises.
South of Wales site for next match. Burris to wicket.
They all exit, a confused mess. On the Magnolia, Fogg walking along the deck from one direction, Sir Francis Cromarty from the other, Passepartout follows Fogg.
Good morning, Mr. Fogg.
And to you, Sir Francis.
Shall we? I believe Reverend Smith and Mr. Matthews are already below.
Capital.
Whist. My master plays whist indefatigably and has found partners as enthusiastic in the game as himself. They play whist by the hour together. As for me, I am rather enjoying the voyage, for I am well fed and well lodged, and the seasickness has mercifully escaped me. So I'm able to see the scenes through which we pass. Beautiful.
Fix enters and Passepartout goes to him, pleased to see a familiar face.
If I am not mistaken, you are the gentleman who so kindly volunteered to guide me at Suez.
Yes, why, yes, and you're that servant of a strange Englishman.
Just so, monsieur. Jean Passepartout.
Oh, Fix.
Monsieur Fix, I'm charmed to find you on board. Where are you bound?
Oh, well, like you, to Bombay.
That's wonderful. Have you made this trip before?
Yeah, several times. I'm one of the agents of the Peninsula Company.
Then you know India? Is it not a curious place?
Oh, it's very curious. Mosques, minarets, temples, fakirs, pagodas, tigers, snakes, and elephants. I hope you'll have ample time to see the sights.
I hope so too, Monsieur Fix. A man of sound sense ought not to spend his life jumping from steamer upon a railway train and from a railway train upon a steamer again. Making a tour of the world in 80 days? I feel as if I'm doing gymnastics again. We rush about so quickly.
Yeah, and Mr. Fogg is getting on well?
Quite well.
And yet I never see your master on deck.
He hasn't the least curiosity. Instead, he remains below playing whist. I shall never understand it.
Do you know, Mr. Passepartout, that this alleged tour in 80 days may conceal some secret errand, perhaps a diplomatic mission?
Faith, Monsieur Fix, I assure you I know nothing about it, nor would I give half a crown to find out.
Fogg and Sir Francis enter.
Well, that was a bold stroke, Mr. Fogg. You have concluded this fine campaign with a brilliant victory, capturing all 13 tricks. Good show, good show.
I am more pleased that while the Mongolia was due at Bombay on the 22nd, she is arriving today on the 20th. I understand we will be landing within the hour.
Indeed, a gain of 2 days since you departed London. Shall we go ashore and celebrate?
No, I have no time to celebrate, but I should be honored if you would share my cabin on the train to Calcutta on your journey to rejoin your regiment.
Sir Francis, Fogg, and Fix exit.
Was Bombay achieved with 2 days to spare? My master is almost as satisfied with their progress as with the clever game of whist he has won along our way. But he does seem intent upon this wager. I fear we will leave Bombay here as suddenly as we did Suez, and even Paris. So, instead of a quiet life, I now charge from this wonder of the world to the next, and on again. Once again, I've ordered my shirts and shoes for my master, and know nothing of this exotic land, but The local peddler sold them to me. But the Magnolia has 1 more hour to take on coal, and I am almost on time. This is a beautiful pagoda, and one might as well return to the train by way of walking through her, no?
He steps in and is mesmerized as 3 priests enter, meditatively promenading.
Mon Dieu, what ornament and banner upon banner!
Passepartout is stunned as 2 of the priests on either side lift him bodily upside down to stand on his hands, as the other in a fit removes his shoes, screams, and hurls them together off stage. All 3 then yell and in fear run off stage, beginning some purifying ritual even as they run. Passepartout comes to himself and realizes he is now late and hurries off, hatless, shoeless, and possibly jacketless.
Madmen! Fanatics! Shoe thieves!
He runs to the station where Fogg is waiting, seen looking at his watch. Fix is watching, unseen by them both.
Monsieur, I am here! I am here at last!
Where are your shoes and the goods you were to buy?
Gone, lost! Oh, monsieur, you would not believe what happened to me.
It doesn't matter. You are late. I hope that this will not happen again.
The train. Fogg boards the train with Passepartout, quite crestfallen, following without a word. They take their seats with Sir Francis, and Fix sneaks onto the train after them and listens at their car.
Ah, Mr. Fogg, welcome. Good heavens. What happened to your manservant?
I was admiring the splendid pagoda on Malabar Hill, and was seized with an irresistible desire to see its interior when I was suddenly attacked by 3 priests who stole my shoes.
I see. Well, you couldn't have known that it is forbidden to Christians to enter certain Indian temples, and that even the faithful must not go in without first leaving their shoes outside the door.
That would explain it.
You may tell us further of your adventures another time, Passepartout. For now, help yourself to a traveling blanket.
Merci, monsieur. I am most dreadfully tired.
He curls up and almost immediately falls asleep as Fix exits, a plotting look on his face.
I am pleased we shall have your company again to Calcutta, Sir Francis.
I look forward to returning there. Well, I am English. India is now my home. I'm almost as familiar as a native with the customs, the history, the character of India and its people.
Indeed.
Do you really intend to make it round the world in 80 days?
I do. I am, in fact, at this moment calculating the number of hours spent since my departure from London.
Well, you are fortunate. You could well have met with a delay in Bombay, which might have lost you your wager.
How so, Sir Francis?
Well, even now, Mr. Fogg, you still run the risk of having some difficulty about this worthy fellow's adventure at the pagoda. The British government is very severe upon that kind of offense. It takes particular care that the religious customs of the Indians should be respected. And if your servant were caught...
If he had been caught, we would have both been condemned and punished, and then quietly returned to Europe. I don't see how this affair could have delayed his master.
At Burhanpur, I was able to purchase some Indian slippers, ornamented with false pearls and jewels. While not practical in any sense, I was inexplicably drawn to them.
He shows them off vainly while Fix, avoiding Passepartout, disembarks the train and crosses to the telegraph officer.
I must send an urgent telegraph to Calcutta.
Yes, sir.
An offence has been committed on Indian soil. Stop. Perpetrator to arrive in Calcutta by rail. Stop. Arrest Phileas, Fogg and servant for desecration of pagoda at Malabar Hill. Full stop.
Lights fade on Fix and come back on the train compartment containing Fogg, Sir Francis, and Passepartout.
Oh, the hours are passing quickly on the train, Mr. Fogg. We shall easily make Calcutta in time for you to catch the steamer to Hong Kong. Have you the time?
Yes, sir. It is 3 in the morning.
What? But it cannot be. You must be at least 4 hours slow.
Impossible. This is my grandfather's watch. It keeps flawless time and is a perfect chronometer.
Wait, do you mean you have not regulated your watch each day as you travel? We are now approximately 77 degrees east of the Greenwich Meridian. Days are 4 minutes shorter each degree we cross over. Do you see?
I will never alter this watch, monsieur. It is regulated for Paris time, and on Paris time it shall stay.
Mr. Fogg, what have you to say to this?
It is an innocent delusion which can harm no one.
Well, enough said. I venture those shoes in turn are your grandmother's.
Passepartout expresses mock outrage as the station master enters, passing through the cars.
Passengers will get out here.
I shall go.
He exits after the station master as Fogg looks at Sir Francis for an explanation.
I have no idea.
Monsieur, no more railway.
What do you mean?
I mean to say that the train isn't going on. There are no more tracks.
Fogg, Sir Francis, and Passepartout cross to the station master.
Where are we?
At the hamlet of Coby.
Do we stop here?
Certainly. The railway isn't finished. There's still a matter of 50 miles to be laid from here to Allahabad, where the line begins again.
But the papers announced the opening of the railway throughout.
The papers were mistaken.
Yet you sell tickets from Bombay to Calcutta.
Yes, but the passengers know that they must provide means of transportation for themselves from Coby to Allahabad.
Why, you...
Sir Francis, we will, if you please, look about for some means of conveyance to Allahabad. Passepartout?
Yes, monsieur.
Mr. Fogg, this is a delay greatly to your disadvantage.
No, it was foreseen.
What? You knew that the way...
Not at all, but I knew that some obstacle or other would sooner or later rise on my route. Nothing, therefore, is lost. I have 2 days, which I have already gained to sacrifice. A steamer leaves Calcutta for Hong Kong at noon on the 25th. This is the 22nd, and we shall reach Calcutta in time.
There's nothing to say to so confident a response.
Monsieur, because the greater part of the travelers were aware of this interruption, all of the regular means of transportation have been reserved already.
I shall go afoot.
Afoot? But wait, monsieur. I may have discovered a means of conveyance.
What?
An elephant. An elephant that belongs to an old Indian who lives but 100 steps from here.
Let us go see this elephant.
Mr. Fogg, are you certain about this? Please reflect before you go any further.
I am not in the habit of acting rashly, Sir Francis.
He crossed to the elephant's owner.
My good sir, I wish to hire your elephant. I offer you £10 per hour for a journey to Allahabad.
No.
£20.
No.
£40. If it takes us, as I calculate, 15 hours, you will be a very rich man.
No.
I would like to buy your elephant then. £1,000.
No.
1,200.
No.
What you're doing, sir?
A wager of £20,000 is at stake, and that elephant is absolutely necessary to me. I will secure him if I have to pay 20 times his value. 1,500.
No.
1,800.
No.
£2,000.
The elephant is yours.
Good heavens, what a price for an elephant!
The journey through the Indian forest.
Now, we only need a guide.
You need a guide?
We must make it to Allahabad in 2 days upon this elephant.
I will not fail you.
Will you join us?
I would not miss this, Mr. Fogg. Thank you.
They all get on the elephant.
I know well the roads and paths in this district. We shall gain 20 miles by striking directly through the forest instead of following the railway line.
They take off and ride without speaking for some time. The lights change to indicate the passing of time. Then the elephant stops suddenly.
What's the matter, Parsee? Why are we stopping?
A procession of Brahmins is coming this way. We must prevent their seeing us, if possible.
We should be safe here if we remain still.
A processional enters, an ornate statue in the lead.
The goddess Kali, the goddess of love and death.
The guide motions to keep silent as some Brahmins enter behind the statue, leading a young, beautiful woman who falters at every step. Following the woman is a corpse on a palanquin, the body of an old man dressed as a Rajah. Next is musicians and dancers, and the procession slowly exits.
A sati.
What is a sati?
A sati is a human sacrifice, but a voluntary one. The woman we have just seen will be burned tomorrow at the dawn of day alongside the corpse of her husband, a Rajah.
But this sacrifice is not a voluntary one.
How do you know?
The lady is a celebrated beauty of the Parsee race and the daughter of a wealthy Bombay merchant. Her name is Aouda, and she was married against her will to the old Rajah, who died only 3 months later. Knowing the fate that awaited her, she escaped and was retaken many times. Her death is a sacrifice from which, it seems, she cannot escape.
But the poor woman did not seem to be resisting.
Yes, because they had intoxicated her with fumes of hemp and opium. The sacrifice will take place at first light at the pagoda of Pelagi. Come, we must be off.
He exits. Francis starts to follow, and Fogg stops Sir Francis.
Suppose we save this woman.
Save her?
I have yet 12 hours to spare. I can devote them to that.
You are a man of heart.
On occasion, when I have the time.
There's the problem of our guide. Would he not take part with the Indians?
You're right. It is necessary to be assured of his neutrality. Guide!
Sir?
We wish to save this woman. May we count on you?
Officers, I am a Parsee, and this woman is a Parsee. Command me as you will.
Excellent.
Be aware that not only do we risk our lives, but horrible tortures if we are taken.
Passepartout exits, unnoticed by the others.
That is foreseen. We shall not fail.
What can you hope to do? She is surrounded, and daylight is moments away.
The chance which now seems lost may present itself at the last moment. Look, dawn is breaking.
The procession re-enters, this time bearing both the corpse and a struggling Aouda. They set it down again, subduing Aouda with drugs, and ritualistically prepare to set it on fire. Suddenly the corpse sits up in a cloud of smoke.
What's happening?
Members of the procession scream and begin to run away as the corpse then picks up Aouda and carries her off the palanquin, bringing her to Fogg, Sir Francis, and the guide, who are in shock until Fogg recognizes his servant.
Passepartout, of course.
Passepartout is a good show.
Come, let us be off before these heathens realize what has occurred here.
They exit amid the confusion. Once they are gone, the members of the procession begin to realize that an abduction has occurred, but they do not know where Aouda was taken, as they scatter and exit in all directions. The station at Allahabad. Passepartout are about to take leave of the guide. Sir Francis is with Aouda off stage.
My good sir, here is the agreed upon price for our journey here.
What? Not a forcing more?
No, Passepartout.
But think of all you owe to this man. He'll risk his life in assisting with the salvation of Madame Aouda. And if he should be caught afterwards by the Indians, he will be with difficulty escapes our vengeance.
Parsee, you have been serviceable and devoted. I have paid for your service, but not for your devotion. For that, I give you this elephant.
Your honor is giving me a fortune.
He is yours. Take him, and I shall still be your debtor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I knew you would reward him as he deserves.
Come, the train leaves at 10 for Calcutta, where we are to catch the steamer to Hong Kong.
They board the train, joining a still drowsy Aouda and Sir Francis. Aouda is now dressed in more appropriate European garments.
How is she?
She still cannot surmount the effects of the opium.
But it has been many hours. Shouldn't she be recovering?
No, it is in keeping with the effects of opium. I assure you that she will be fine once it wears off. I am more disturbed at the prospect of her future fate.
What do you mean?
Should Madame Aouda remain in India, she will undoubtedly fall again into the hands of her executioners. She will only be safe by quitting India forever.
I will reflect upon the matter.
Master, the lady stirs.
Aouda opens her eyes and is understandably disoriented, not knowing where she is or who she is with. She cries out in alarm.
Where am I? Who are you?
Do not be alarmed, madam. You are safe. You are on a train to Calcutta.
To Calcutta? How is it that I was not burned in the Sati?
We took the liberty of rescuing you.
Yes, on the advice of our Parsee guide, that you are an involuntary victim of those scoundrels.
I cannot thank you, gentlemen, enough.
I believe her eyes interpret her gratitude better than her lips.
You are still in danger, madam. I shall personally escort you to Hong Kong, where you may safely remain there in some distance from this affair.
Gentlemen, you are too kind. I have a Parsee relative in Hong Kong. His name is JJ, a merchant, and quite wealthy.
We shall find him when we arrive there, and I shall leave you safely in his charge.
I am in your debt, Mr.
Fogg. Phileas Fogg, at your service.
Our Parsee guide did not exaggerate when telling of this lady's charms. During our journey, she fully recovered her senses, and we found that she spoke English with great purity, being raised more European than Indian. Sir Francis narrated to her what had passed at the city, dwelling upon the courage with which my master had not hesitated to risk his life to save her. I insisted that my role in her rescue was not worth telling, for it truly was Monsieur Fogg's idea.
Everyone disembarks.
We arrived at Calcutta on the 25th of October. 2 days' game between London and Bombay were lost in the journey across India, but I do not think my master regrets them in the least.
It is here in Calcutta that I must leave you, as the troops I am rejoining are encamped some miles northward of the city.
I shall never forget what I owe you, Sir Francis.
And I shall remember you always, madam. You are a good and faithful servant, Passepartout. Mr. Fogg is lucky to have you.
Merci, monsieur.
Sir Francis, we shall miss your company.
I wish you all success, Mr. Fogg, and I hope that you will come this way again in a less original but more profitable fashion.
You may rely upon it. Come, Madam Aouda, we must proceed at once to the steamer in order to get you comfortably settled for the voyage to Hong Kong. I'm unwilling to leave you even for a moment while you are in dangerous ground.
Mr. Phileas Fogg,
I am he.
is this your manservant?
Yes.
Be so good, both of you, as to follow me.
May this young lady go with us?
She may.
He leads them into a small room with barred windows.
You will appear before the judge at 8:30.
Why are we prisoners?
Sir, you must leave me to my fate. It is on my account that you received this treatment. It is for having saved me.
Impossible. It is quite unlikely that we should be arrested for preventing a suttee. The complainants would not dare present themselves with such a charge. They should take matters into their own hands. No, there is simply some mistake.
You don't understand the customs here. You must leave me to my fate.
Nonsense, madam. I will escort you to Hong Kong as planned.
But the steamer leaves at noon.
We shall be on board by noon.
Follow me.
He leads them to a courtroom. Fogg, Passepartout, and Aouda take their places as the judge enters, followed by the judge's clerk.
The first case.
Yes, Fogg.
I am here.
Jean Passepartout.
Present.
Prisoners, you have been sought for 2 days on the trains from Bombay.
But of what are we accused?
You are about to be informed. Let the complainants come in.
The 3 Indian priests enter.
Those are the rogues who are going to burn our young lady.
Silence! Hear the charge against you.
Phileas Fogg and servant, you are hereby accused of sacrilege, having violated a place held consecrated by the Brahmin religion.
You hear the charge.
Yes, sir, and I admit it.
You admit it?
I admit it, and I wish to hear these priests admit what they were going to do at the pagoda of Pelagie.
The priests look at each other, not seeming to understand what was said.
Yes, at the pagoda of Pelagie, where they were on the point of burning their victim.
What victim? Burn whom? In Bombay?
Bombay?
Certainly. We are not talking of the pagoda of Pelagie, but of the pagoda of Malabar Hill at Bombay.
And as a proof, here are the desecrator's very shoes which he left behind him.
My shoes! Sacre bleu! I'd quite forgotten the affair at Bombay.
The facts are admitted.
Admitted.
Inasmuch as English law protects equally and sternly the religions of the Indian people, and as the man Passepartout has admitted that he violated the sacred pagoda of Malabar Hill at Bombay on the 20th of October, I condemn the said Passepartout to imprisonment for 15 days and the fine of £300.
300 pounds?
Silence!
And inasmuch as it is not proved that the act was not done by the connivance of the master with the servant, and as the master in any case must be held responsible for the acts of his paid servant, I condemn Phileas Fogg to a week's imprisonment and a fine of £150. Have you anything to say?
I offer bail.
You have that right. The bail for each prisoner should be £1,000.
I will pay it at once.
He takes a roll of banknotes from the carpet bag, places them on the clerk's desk.
This sum will be restored to you upon your release from prison. Meanwhile, you are liberated on bail.
Come.
But first, give me back my shoes. These are now very expensive shoes, more than £1,000 apiece.
Fogg offers his arm to Aouda and they exit, followed by Passepartout. Fix comes from the back of the room where he had been hidden.
You let that rascal escape! £2,000 sacrificed. I'll follow him to the end of the world if necessary, but at the rate he's going, that stolen money will soon be exhausted.
He glares at the confused judge and then exits after Fogg. Judge and clerk shrug and move on.
Next case.
Aboard the Rangoon, Aouda and Passepartout enter in conversation.
Oh, yes, madame. My master is quite the eccentric one.
He visits me regularly at certain hours and always treats me with the strictest politeness. I have never seen him betray the slightest emotion.
Nor have I. He has the precision of an automaton, yet he's taken us this mad trip around the world and on a wager yet.
I know not what to make of him.
To be frank, madame, neither do I. What I do know is that despite his peculiar habits and odd behavior, he is an honorable man.
He is more than that. He is my protector, my savior, I cannot speak enough of my deep gratitude for what he did for me.
There you are, Passepartout, and Madame Aouda with you.
Yes, monsieur. Madame needed some air after being in her cabin for 2 days whilst the storm raged. So I offered to bring her up here on the deck.
Have you been comfortable, madam?
Of course, Mr. Fogg. Thanks to your generosity.
You were not tossed about too violently during the squall?
No, I was frightened, but felt quite safe knowing you were nearby.
Nothing should be wanting for your comfort.
Sir, I owe you my life. My comfort is the least of your concern. Has the storm affected your wager?
Oh, it has. We are now 22 hours behind. But do not let that concern you. We must get you to Hong Kong.
Fogg and Aouda exit, continuing their conversation as Fix enters and sees Passepartout.
Passepartout, you here on the Rangoon?
What? Monsieur Fix? Why, I left you at Bombay, and here you are, on the way to Hong Kong. Are you going around the world too?
Oh, no. I shall stop at Hong Kong, at least for a few days.
But how is it I've not seen you on board?
A trifle bit of seasickness. I've been staying in my berth. The Gulf of Bengal does not agree with me as well as the Indian Ocean, especially during that bad weather we've had. And how is Mr. Fogg?
As well and as punctual as ever. Not a day behind time until this dreadful storm.
Oh, yes, it's been monstrous.
Monsieur Fix, you don't know that we have a young lady with us?
A young lady?
Yes, we shall be depositing her with a rich relative in Hong Kong.
And then after leaving his lady friend, Mr. Fogg, I suppose, is anxious to catch the steamer for Yokohama?
Terribly anxious, as we are behind time nearly a full day.
You believe in this journey around the world, then?
Absolument. Don't you, Mr. Fix?
I don't believe a word of it.
You're a sly dog. Shall we be so unfortunate as to lose you when we get to Hong Kong?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps I could be tempted.
If you would only go with us. For I have suddenly discovered an explanation of Fix's movements. An agent of the Peninsula Company, indeed. Fix could only be an agent of Monsieur Fogg's friends at the Reform Club. It's clear, is it not? He's a spy sent to keep us in view. And Mr. Fogg, such an honorable man.
I'd like nothing better, but you must understand that I don't travel at my own expense.
Oh, I am quite sure of that. Gentlemen of the Reform Club, this shall cost you dear. And the storm upon the Rangoon has cost us dear too, for now we shall miss the steamer at Yokohama.
Cross over to Fogg and the pilot, joined by Passepartout.
Gentlemen, we arrive at 1 o'clock today. Land was sighted at 5 o'clock this morning.
Do you know when a steamer will leave Hong Kong for Yokohama?
The Carnatic leaves at high tide tomorrow morning.
Ah, shouldn't she have gone yesterday?
Oh, yes, sir, but they had to repair one of her boilers, so her departure was postponed till tomorrow.
Thank you.
Pilot, you're the best of good fellows.
Come, Passepartout. I shall have 16 hours to attend to my business in Hong Kong, which is to deposit Madame Aouda safely with Gigi. Once we arrive, you will stay with her at the hotel so that she may not be left entirely alone.
Mr. Fogg repairs to the exchange, where he did not doubt everyone would know so wealthy a considerable personage as the Parsee merchant.
I have learned that Gigi left Hong Kong 2 years ago. He retired from business with an immense fortune and has, I understand, taken up his residence in Holland.
What should I do, Mr. Fogg?
It is very simple. Go on to Europe with us.
But I cannot intrude.
You do not intrude, nor do you in the least embarrass my project. Passepartout?
Monsieur.
Go to the Carnatic and engage 3 cabins.
Madam, I'm delighted that you'll be continuing the journey with us.
He exits and comes across Fix, walking up and down, apparently very upset.
This is bad for the gentlemen of the Reform Club. Well, Monsieur Fix, have you decided to go with us so far as America?
Yes.
Good. I knew you could not persuade yourself to separate from us. Come and engage your berth.
Gentlemen, the repairs on the Carnatic have been completed, and the steamer will leave this evening at 8 p.m. and not tomorrow morning as had been announced.
That will suit my master all the better. I will go and let him know.
Let us go have a drink first to celebrate. It's a tavern caught my eye on the quay.
You are too kind, monsieur. Hope to return the obligation at some future time.
They enter the tavern. Fix orders several rounds of drinks, watching closely as Passepartout gets a bit drunk.
Look, I want to have a talk with you. A serious talk.
A serious talk? What is that you have to say?
You guessed who I am.
Parbleu!
Well, then I'm going to tell you everything.
But I already know everything, my friend. That's very good. But go on. First, let me tell you that those gentlemen have put themselves to a useless expense.
Useless? Well, it's clear you don't know how large the sum is.
Of course I do. 20,000 pounds.
55,000.
What? Has Monsieur Fogg done 55,000 pounds? Well, there's all the more reason for not losing an instant.
55,000 pounds, and if I succeed, I'll get 2,000 pounds. And if you'll help me, I'll let you have 500 of them.
Help you?
Yes. Help me keep Mr. Fogg here for 2 or 3 days.
Why? What are you saying? So gentlemen are satisfied with following my master and suspecting his honor, but they must try to put obstacles in his way? I blush for them.
What do you mean?
I mean that it is a piece of shameful trickery, a conspiracy, and gentlemen too. Bah!
You're puzzling me.
You must know, Monsieur Fix, that my master is an honest man. And that when he makes a wager, he tries to win it fairly.
Well, just who do you think I am?
You are an agent of the members of the Reform Club, sent here to interrupt my master's journey.
Yeah, look, listen to me. I am not, as you think, an agent of the members of the Reform Club. I am a police detective sent here by the London office. Mr. Fogg's wager is only a pretext of which you and the gentlemen of the Reform Club are dupes. You had a motive for securing your innocent complicity.
But why?
Listen, on the 28th of last September, a robbery of £55,000 was committed at the Bank of England by a person whose description is that of Mr. Phileas Fogg.
What nonsense! My master is the most honorable of men.
How can you tell? You scarcely know anything about him. You went into his service the day he came away, and he came away on a foolish pretext without trunks, carrying a large amount in banknotes. And yet you are bold enough to assert that he's an honest man.
Yes, yes.
Would you like to be arrested as his accomplice?
I am overcome by what I've been told. Phileas Fogg, the savior of Madame Aouda, that brave and generous man, a robber. And yet how many presumptions there are against him. No, I cannot believe that my master is guilty. Well, what do you want of me?
I've tracked Mr. Fogg to this place, and as of yet, I have failed to receive the warrant of arrest for which I sent to London. You must help me keep him here in Hong Kong.
Aye, but I...
I will share with you the £2,000 reward offered by the Bank of England.
Never! Monsieur Fix, even should what you say be true, if my master is really the robber you are seeking for, which I deny, I have been in his service. I've seen his generosity and goodness, and I will never betray him, not for all the gold in this world. I come from a village where they don't eat that kind of bread.
So you refuse?
I refuse.
Well, then consider I've said nothing and let us have a drink.
Yes, let us drink.
Passepartout quickly downs one more drink, which is enough to take him over the edge as his head falls upon the table.
And now you, the devoted servant, cannot inform Mr. Fogg of the Carnatic's departure.
He exits, throwing money on the table. A shop in Hong Kong. A merchant and Aouda are dickering over the price of an article of clothing.
Madame will notice the fine details of the stitching, no?
It is lovely, but the price.
My good man, Madam obviously appreciates the article, but it is not worthy of a new magistrate. Have you a similar cut of more suitable quality? I will pay for it, the asking price of one such as that.
I do, sir. I have such an item. I will send for it at once.
Mr. Fogg, you are extravagant. This is the first peddler's shop we came to.
And he must be an established merchant, or he would not be afforded such access to the port.
But you deceive him about your place.
No, I did no such thing. I asserted the item's quality, and he confirmed it. We can be assured the one he returns with will be all the more comfortable for you.
As for comfort, sir, though it is evening, the Asian climate is much warmer than Britain. Please consider giving your coat to a valet that we may better enjoy the market.
No need, madam. Certainly a true Englishman removes his coat on only 2 occasions, to retire to bed or to fight.
Here you are. What do you think?
Mr. Fogg?
Do you like it?
It's beautiful.
You see, you would be much more comfortable in such a garment.
He hands the merchant some banknotes and bows and exits.
You are much too extravagant, sir.
Nonsense. I am merely concerned about your comfort. Let us return to the hotel, madam. You must get your rest, as the Carnatic leaves early tomorrow.
As you wish, Mr. Fogg, and thank you.
The tuck die. There's a lighting change, and it is the next morning on the dock.
I do not understand, Mr. Fogg.
Passepartout did not return at bedtime last night. I did not concern myself about the matter, since the steamer was not to leave for Yokohama till this morning. Yet he did not answer my bell. We must board the Carnatic without him.
I hope he is all right.
But where's the steamer?
Well, the Carnatic, sir. Oh, it sailed last night.
Oh, no. Mr. Fogg, what shall we do?
Excuse me, sir, but were you not, like me, a passenger on the Rangoon which arrived yesterday?
I was, sir, but I have not the honor of...
Oh, pardon me. I should thought I would find your servant here.
Do you know where he is?
What? He's not with you?
He has not made his appearance since yesterday. Could he have gone on board the Carnatic without us?
Oh, did you mean to sail on the Carnatic?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, so did I, madam, and I am excessively disappointed. The Carnatic, its repairs being completed, left Hong Kong 12 hours before the stated time, and without any notice being given. So now we must wait a week for another steamer.
But there are other vessels besides the Carnatic in the harbor of Hong Kong.
John Bunsby, a pilot, has entered and overheard.
Is your honor looking for a boat?
Have you a boat ready to sail?
Yes, your honor. John Bunsby, pilot of the Tankadere, the best in the harbor, at your service.
Does she go fast?
Between 8 and 9 knots the hour. Is it for a sea excursion?
No, for a voyage.
Voyage?
Yes. Will you agree to take me to Yokohama?
Is your honor joking?
No. I have missed the Carnatic, and I must get to Yokohama by the 14th at the latest to take the General Grant for San Francisco.
I'm sorry, but that's impossible.
I offer you £100 per day and an additional reward of £200 if I reach Yokohama in time.
Are you in earnest?
Very much so. You would not be afraid, would you, madam?
Not with you, Mr. Fogg.
Well?
I could not risk myself, my men, or my boat on such a long voyage at this time of year, and Yokohama is more than 1,600 miles from here. But it might be arranged another way.
How?
By going to Shanghai, which is only 800 miles from here.
I must take the American steamer at Yokohama, not at Shanghai.
But the General Grant does not start from Yokohama. She puts out there, but she starts from Shanghai.
And when does the boat leave Shanghai?
On the 11th, at 7 in the morning. We have therefore 4 days before us. That is 96 hours. And in that time, if we had good luck and a southwest wind and the sea was calm, we could make those 800 miles to Shanghai.
And you could go?
In an hour, as soon as provisions could be got aboard and the sails put up.
Here are £200 on account, sir. If you would like to take advantage.
Oh, thanks. I was about to ask the favor, but I must insist on paying my own way.
Let us not speak of that. In half an hour we shall go on board.
But poor Passepartout?
I shall do all I can to find him. Let us repair to the police station in the French consulate, where we shall give Passepartout's description and a sum of money to be spent in the search for him.
Carnatic. Passepartout, awakening from a drunken stupor on deck.
Oh, my head. Where am I?
On the Carnatic, of course.
The Carnatic? So I made it in time?
Evidently. Bloody French tourists.
Pardon-moi, monsieur. Can you direct me to the cabin of Monsieur Fogg?
Fogg? We have no passengers named Fogg on board.
You are sure? Monsieur Phileas Fogg?
I repeat, there is no Fogg on board the Carnatic.
Mon Dieu, he has missed the boat.
He exits as the Times reporter proceeds to the bursar.
London Times, Hong Kong Mercantile reporting. Did that man just say Fogg?
Yes, Phineas. No Phineas Fogg, or such sum. What is it to you?
Is Phileas Fogg here on board the Carnatic?
Should have been, but no. We pulled up the gangplank behind that French sauce. But what is it to you?
Usually nothing, but it has been an exceedingly slow month for news. Round-the-world gambler Phileas Fogg missed in Hong Kong.
The Standard and the Telegraph appear as the bursar exits.
London Standard shipping correspondent confirms Fogg's disappearance.
Fogg's folly decidedly aground as Maritime predicts worst winter for typhoons.
No sign of Fogg. Authorities confirm suspect still at large.
Oh, that! But we don't have anyone in Hong Kong.
Bank of England bandit escapes to the mysterious east.
Scotland Yard loses scent. B of E brigand vanishes.
Oh, I don't know.
Calcutta reports Fogg arrested, escapes with servant.
Capture of Fogg impossible. The scoundrel runs rampant.
No!
Crime of the century, now mystery of the millennium.
Oh, bollocks!
Okay. Huh? No, I need a drink of water. Yeah. Which one? Yeah. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, fair enough. We're on page 66 and it goes to page 103.
Losing the audience. When it calls at 6 a.m. what happened?
Yeah, right.
They can't hear us. Actually, a dog.
And then it got behind. And then I was still boarding. I couldn't watch it anymore. What it says, there's all this information. There's a 20-second lag between Zoom and YouTube. And then, of course, all the
Where's the third row?
Please don't. Oh, God, no.
Put the sound on. How?
What?
Put the sound. They're talking.
Sound is on, babe. But everybody isn't back yet.
The time? Yeah? Act 2. The Tanqueray. Fogg, Vix, and Aouda are on deck as Bunsby enters.
Shall I speak out to your honor?
Of course.
Well, we are going to have a squall.
Is the wind north or south?
South. A typhoon is coming up.
Ah, glad it's a typhoon from the south, for it will carry us forward.
Well, if you look at it that way, I have nothing more to say. Typhoon! Take preparations now! Reef all sail! Dispense of the pole mast! All hands forward to the bows! We shall hoist a single triangular sail, a strong canvas, so as to hold the wind from behind. Then we wait. Mr. Fogg, I must request that you and the other passengers go below.
I will stay.
I will not leave you, Mr. Fogg.
Imprisonment in so narrow a space with so little air and the boat bouncing around in the gale, that'll be far from pleasant.
There you have it, Bunsby. None of us shall leave the deck.
As you wish. Oh, here it comes.
The storm of rain and wind descends upon them. The Tanqueray is lifted like a feather by the wind. To compare her speed to 4 times that of a locomotive going on full steam would below the truth.
I think, Your Honor, that we should do well to make for one of the ports on the coast.
I think so too.
But which one?
I know of but one.
And that is?
Shanghai.
Oh, good heavens, sir. It will be a miracle if the craft doesn't founder.
I have faith in you, Bunsby, and in your tenacious crew.
Well then, off to Shanghai.
They continue to fight the storm, Fogg more than once protecting Aouda from the violence of the waves. Fogg and Fix help the crew as much as they can, and eventually things calm down.
Oh, you're all right, madam.
I am always all right when by your side.
Your Honor was right that the typhoon would advance our journey. We have spied land. Shanghai is in our sights.
The crew shout in victory. Fix looks at Fogg in disbelief, and Fogg smiles calmly.
But what is that?
Oh, confound her. It's the American steamer leaving for Yokohama. Oh, we're too late.
Signal her. Hoist your flag at half-mast. Perhaps we can catch her.
Fire a cannon. Oh, they're
Cannon is fired, a moment of silence, and then cheers again from the crew as the steamer changes course.
They're turning around.
Oh, Mr. Fogg, you did it. You did it.
Yokohama.
I am in Yokohama, on schedule, unlike my unfortunate master and Madame Aouda. What happened is this. I woke in the tavern and realizing the time ran to the ship where I passed out again on the deck. We were far out to sea before I discovered that Monsieur Fogg was not on board because I'd told him of the schedule change. Fix, the scoundrel, had ruined everything. So now I'm trying to find passage to America so I may catch up with my master's heir. Not an easy thing to do when one has no money.
A ringmaster enters, calling out an advertisement to the circus.
Come see the acrobatic Japanese troupe in its final performance before their departure to the United States. The Honorable William Battle Carr, proprietor. Come see the acrobatic Japanese troupe in its final performance before their departure to the United States.
Ringmaster exits.
The United States? That is just what I want. I'm sure I can just join this acrobatic troupe. I'm strong and I can sing standing on my head, with a top spinning my left foot and a saber balancing on my right. It is not a very dignified way to make a living, but I will soon be on my way to America.
He exits.
He is here in Yokohama, madam. The steward informed me that Passepartout arrived on the Carnatic yesterday.
That is wonderful news, Mr. Fogg.
Yes, but we do not know where he is now. The General Grant leaves this very evening. I've applied in vain to the French and English consuls, and we've been searching all afternoon.
I begin to despair that we will find him in time.
Oh, as do I. There is but one more place I think we should look. Come.
They cross to the circus as the acrobatic troupe enters and begins their performance. Passepartout is at the bottom of a human pyramid when he spots Fogg and Aouda. Passepartout stands up, disrupting the pyramid.
Ah, my master! My master!
Oh, Mr. Fogg, you were right.
Well then, let us go to the steamer, young man.
You, Frenchman, I demand damages from you, sir. You broke my pyramid and destroyed the final act of my performance.
Will this appease you, my good man?
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes. All is forgiven. Be off with you, Frenchman.
Fogg exits and Aouda and Passepartout cross to the deck of the steamer to San Francisco. On the General Grant to San Francisco.
What an adventure you have had.
Not nearly that which you and my master have had. A typhoon chasing down the steamer to Yokohama. Zut the Lord. And it would have all been avoided if not for my carelessness.
You mustn't blame yourself, Passepartout. Mr. Fogg has made it all right. We are together again and on our way to America. He is an amazing man.
He is indeed, madame. Phileas Fogg is the epitome of honesty, generosity, and devotion.
I only fear he will not be successful in completing his journey. My heart leaps at any incident which seems likely to slow us down.
But the most difficult part is past, madame. We will arrive in America in just a few days and take a train from San Francisco to New York and send a transatlantic steamer from New York to Liverpool. Monsieur Fogg would doubtless conclude this mad journey within the time agreed upon.
I hope you are right, my friend. I am to meet Mr. Fogg at noon today. Do you have the time?
It is 12 o'clock, madame.
Fogg enters as Passepartout is saying 12 o'clock.
Madam?
He takes her arm and they exit.
Did you see that? 12 o'clock. On this day, the 23rd of November, so I have not changed the hands. My watch exactly agrees with the ship's chronometers. Ha! I should like to know what Fix would say if he were here on board. That rogue told me a lot of stories about the meridians and the sun and the moon. Moon indeed. Moonshine more likely. If one listened to that sort of people, a pretty sort of time one would keep. I was sure that the sun and someday regulate itself by my watch.
At that instant, Fix enters. Passepartout watches him, grabs him by the throat, and begins to punch him. Some Americans are standing around.
Ah, well, you look at that.
Fight! Fight! 5-1 on the Frenchman.
Not on your life. He's plumb on the poor jab.
Oh, yeah. A perfect volley of blows.
Passepartout finishes with a sigh of relief and comfort. The Americans exit and Fix gets up.
Have you done?
For this time, yes.
Well, then let me have a word with you.
But
It's in your master's interests. Look, you have given me a thrashing, and I expected that. Now you listen to me. Up to this time, I've been Mr. Fogg's adversary, but I am now in his game.
Aha! You are convinced he is an honest man.
No, I think he's a scoundrel. Let me speak. As long as Mr. Fogg was on English ground, it was in my interest to detain him there until a warrant of arrest arrived. I did everything I could to keep him back. I sent the Bombay priests after him. I got you intoxicated at Hong Kong. I separated you from him and I made him miss the Yokohama steamer. Now Mr. Fogg seems to be going back to England. I will follow him there, but from hereafter I will do as much to keep obstacles out of his way as I have done up to this time to put them in his path. Don't you see? It's only in England that you will be able to ascertain whether you are in the service of a criminal or an honest man. Are we friends?
Friends? No. Allies? Perhaps. Just know that at the least sign of treason, I will twist your neck.
Agreed.
11 days later, on the 3rd of December, we entered the Bay of the Golden Gate and reached San Francisco.
Passepartout, Madame Aouda shall accompany me to the English consulate to have my passport visaed, change some banknotes to American dollars, and purchase our train tickets while we are about.
Oui, monsieur. I also think it would be wise to purchase some infield rifles and Colt revolvers before we board the train.
Why?
I have heard stories of attacks upon the trains by the Sioux and Pawnee. Should we not be prepared?
It seems to me a useless precaution, but do as you think best.
Passepartout bows and exits as Fix enters.
Oh, Mr. Fogg, is it really you?
It is.
Oh, well, we must have crossed the Pacific together and not met on the steamer. Well, I'm now honored to see the man to whom I owe so much. Where are you off to now?
We shall take the train across America and then return to Europe, Mr. Fix.
Oh, well, it's by the greatest chance in the world my business recalls me to Europe too. Or if your honor would allow me, I should be delighted to continue your journey in your pleasant company.
Fogg nods and exits with Aouda. On the train across America, Passepartout, Fogg, Aouda, and Fix are aboard the train. It is not moving.
Monsieur sees buffalo, mon Dieu! What shall be done about them?
Nothing, Passepartout.
What a country where mere cattle stops the trains. I've been watching the beasts from the platforms. I'm ready to begin firing my Colt revolver at them.
We must wait philosophically until it should please the buffalo to get out of the way.
3 philosophical hours later, we were on our way. This was, unfortunately, not our only delay. It was no time at all before the train stopped again.
Why have we stopped?
I do not see any buffalo. What could it be?
Passepartout, come with me. Excuse me, what is the problem?
We can't pass. The bridge at Medicine Bow is shaky and would not bear the weight of the train.
The bridge?
Oh, yes, a suspension bridge over some rapids about a mile from the place we are now. It is in a ruinous condition with several of the iron wires broken, and it is impossible to risk passage.
Monsieur, rash as the Americans usually are when they are prudent, there is good reason for it.
Gentlemen, perhaps there is a way, after all, to get over.
On the bridge?
On the bridge.
With our train.
With our train.
But the bridge is unsafe.
No matter. By putting on the very highest speed, we have a chance of getting over.
The devil!
Well, it's possible. I've heard tell of stranger things. Even engineers leaping their trains over rivers without bridges by putting on full steam. Although I've certainly never tried it myself. Always wanted to, though.
Sir, so ready to attempt anything to get over Medicine Creek. I feel the experiment proposed is, well, a little too American.
Nonsense, Passepartout.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All aboard!
There, you see, Passepartout?
But, sir...
what was the problem?
No problem. Just an unfavorable bridge up ahead.
Oh dear. Will we be disembarking?
Not at all. We will cross it.
But we seem to be going in reverse.
I see. The engineer is retiring like a jumper in order to take a longer leap.
Quite ingenious of him, I must say.
Pardon me, Passepartout. Did you say leap?
Oui, Monsieur Fix.
You mean to tell me that this train will be attempting to jump over the questionable bridge?
My intent was not to tell you, but yes.
Whose mad idea was this?
My master's.
Good heavens! How fast are we going?
Are you afraid, madam?
Your confidence strengthens me, Mr. Fogg.
Mon Dieu, we are going beyond the speed I ever thought the train could go.
I would estimate 100 miles per hour.
100 miles per hour?
We are passing over the bridge.
It feels as though the train is hardly on the rails at all.
Yes, as I anticipated, we essentially leapt from one bank to the other.
There is a loud crashing sound.
Look, the bridge fell over the rapids into Medicine Bow the instant we were over it.
That too was foreseen.
We are slowing down.
Oh, thank heavens.
My heart is pounding.
Are you quite well, madam?
Oh, yes. It was all so exhilarating to fly at such speeds.
Monsieur Fogg, now that we are over the bridge and traveling at normal speed, I must ask.
Yes, Passepartout?
Would it not have been more prudent for us to cross that bridge on foot and then let the train come after?
Leaving the passengers unprotected? This area is known for being overrun by Indians. Out in the open, they would have been more vulnerable to attack.
Savage cries are heard as the train is attacked by Indians.
What's happening?
We're being attacked. It's a band of wild Indians, Sioux.
One of the more violent tribes. The Sioux generally offer the most resolute resistance to white invasion into their land.
I don't know what that means, sir, but they attack our trains on a regular basis. Be prepared to defend yourselves.
There is a fight with Fogg protecting Aouda as much as possible, and she handling a revolver rather well when one is thrust at her during the battle. The engineer is wounded.
Sir, if the train is not stopped by the time we reach Fort Kearney, we are done for. But if we can stop the train there, reinforcements will help put an end to their siege.
It shall be stopped. Passepartout, take care of Madame Aouda.
Stay, monsieur. I will go.
He leaps out a window and climbs onto the rail car.
Passepartout!
He is a devoted servant.
Passepartout makes use of his acrobatic experience on top of the rail car while beating off the Sioux and arriving at the end of the train, where he proceeds to pull the brake. As the train slows down and is nearly stopped, an Indian attacks and pulls him from the train.
Miss Passepartout! Oh, Mr. Fogg, he's gone.
And here we are, stopped at Kearney Station.
The train would not have stopped in time if it were not for your servant, sir.
And the Sioux are leaving.
Is everyone all right?
This man is hurt.
And Passepartout is missing.
He must have been captured by the Sioux as they fled.
It was he who saved us, who stopped the train in time.
I will find him, living or dead.
Ah, Mr. Fogg.
Living if we do not lose a moment.
But, Mr. Fogg, a delay of a single day will make you lose the steamer in New York, and your bet will certainly be lost.
It is my duty.
2 more are missing, sir.
Sir, 3 passengers have disappeared.
Dead?
Dead or prisoners. Do you propose to pursue the savages?
That's a serious thing to do, sir. These Indians may retreat beyond the Arkansas, and I cannot leave the fort unprotected.
The lives of 3 men are in question, sir.
Doubtless. But can I risk the lives of 50 men to save 3?
I don't know whether you can, sir, but you ought.
Nobody here has a right to teach me my duty.
Very well. I will go alone.
You, sir, go alone in pursuit of the Indians.
Would you have me leave this poor fellow to perish, him to whom everyone present owes his life? I shall go.
Wait. You're a brave man. You shall not go alone. I shall send with you 30 volunteers.
Thank you, Captain. I will divide $5,000 among them if we save the prisoners.
Will you let me go with you?
If you wish to do me a favor, you will remain with Madame Aouda, in case anything should happen to me.
I will stay.
I shall bring him back.
He exits, leaving Fix and Aouda on stage. Fix paces and Aouda sits, distraught. After a moment of silence, Aouda stands up as she hears a locomotive coming.
Next train to Omaha arriving now. Prepare to board.
Are you going to start?
At once, madam.
But the prisoners are unfortunate fellow travelers.
I cannot interrupt the trip. We are already 3 hours behind time.
And when will another train pass here from San Francisco?
Tomorrow evening, madam.
Tomorrow evening? But then it will be too late. We must wait.
It is impossible. If you wish to go, madam, please board now.
I will not go.
Are you sure this is wise, madam?
What choice do we have?
Fix paces some, and the lights change to depict the passing of time. Aouda impatiently watches for Fogg and the others to return. Suddenly, she cries out.
Look!
What is it?
There they are.
Fogg enters with Passepartout, the other 2 travelers, and a few soldiers. Mudge also enters at this time.
Mr. Fogg, I knew you would not fail.
What happened? You must tell us.
Mr. Fogg saved me, saved us all.
We were struggling with our captors.
The Sioux?
When this brave man...
My master, Mr. Fogg.
Met us with a contingent of soldiers and rescued us.
This man, Passepartout, had just felled 3 of the villains with his fist when they arrived.
Passepartout, you too are a hero, you know. Without your courageous behavior on the train, the Sioux would have taken us all.
But it must certainly be confessed that I cost my master dear. Where's the train?
Gone.
Mon Dieu!
And when does the next train pass here?
Not till morning.
I see.
Seriously, sir, are you in great haste?
Quite seriously. It is absolutely necessary that I should be in New York on the 11th before 9 o'clock in the evening. It is then that the steamer leaves for Liverpool.
There is a way.
On foot?
No, on a sled.
What is a sledge?
It's like a large sled with sails. During the winter, when the trains are blocked up by the snow and a sledge is often only a way across the frozen plains from one station to another. It can slip over the surface in more of the prairies with a speed equal to that, not better than the express trains. On my own sledge, there's room for at least 5 or 6 people.
Do you think you can do it?
Readily, sir. The wind is favorable and the snow is hardened. We should arrive in Omaha in just a few hours, where the trains are run frequently to New York.
Madam, I do not wish to expose you to the discomforts of traveling in the open air. I shall leave you in Passepartout's capable hands. He shall escort you to Europe by a better route and under more favorable conditions.
I will not separate myself from you, Mr. Fogg.
I was personally delighted with her decision, for nothing could induce me to leave my master, especially while Fix is with him. Monsieur Fogg risked his fortune and his life to rescue me, his servant, from the Sioux. I shall never forget that sacrifice.
They are now gliding across the snow.
How fast do you think we are going?
I say no less than 40 miles an hour. If nothing breaks, we shall at least get there.
We arrived in Omaha and were soon on the train to Chicago and then to New York. At last, at 11:15 in the evening on the 11th, the train stopped in the station on the right bank of the river, before the very pier of the Cunard line. The China for Liverpool had left 3/4 of an hour before.
Is there no other way?
I have consulted the Bradshaw. The Perrier of the French Transatlantic Company does not leave until the 14th. The Hamburg boats do not go directly to Liverpool or London, but to Havre. And the additional trip from Havre to Southampton would render our efforts useless. The Inman steamer does not depart till the next day and cannot cross the Atlantic in time to save the wager.
It is my fault, for instead of helping my master, I have not ceased putting obstacles in his path.
Passepartout, await my return and inform Madame Aouda to be ready at an instant's notice.
He crosses to the pier and to Andrew Speedy.
You are the captain of this vessel?
I,
I am Phileas Fogg of London.
Andrew Speedy of Cardiff.
You are going to put to sea?
In an hour.
You are bound for...
Bordeaux.
Have you any passengers?
No passengers. Never have any passengers. Too much in the way.
Is your vessel a swift one?
Between 11 and 12 knots. The Henrietta, well known.
Will you carry me and 3 other persons to Liverpool?
To Liverpool? Why not to China?
I said Liverpool.
No.
No?
No, I am setting out for Bordeaux and I shall go to Bordeaux.
I will freight your vessel for you.
No.
I will buy it of you.
No.
Well, will you carry me to Bordeaux?
Not if you pay me $200.
I offer you 2,000.
A piece?
A piece.
And there are 4 of you?
4?
I start at 9 o'clock. Are you and your party ready?
We will be on board at 9 o'clock.
At noon the next day, a man mounted the bridge to ascertain the vessel's position. It might be thought that it was Captain Speedy, but it was my master, Monsieur Fogg.
Oh, let me out. You let me out of here at once, you rogues.
To one of the sailors arriving on deck with Fix.
He is safe under lock and key?
Yes, sir.
How is it Mr. Fogg was able to convince you men to mutiny?
We're only an occasional crew, not the best of terms with our captain here. Mr. Fogg was quite liberal with his banknotes. He must have quite desperately want to get to Liverpool.
Yeah, so he says. To watch Fogg manage his craft, it's clear he's been a sailor.
Aye, sir. He knows what he's about.
May I have a word with you, sir?
What is it?
I fear we haven't enough fuel to get to Liverpool, sir.
You are certain of this?
Certain, sir. You must remember that since we started, we have kept up hot fires in our hot furnaces. And though we had coal enough to get on short steam from New York to Bordeaux, we haven't enough to go with all the steam from New York to Liverpool.
I will consider.
So coal is giving out?
It is.
Do not let the fires go down. Keep them up to the last. Let the valves be filled. Passepartout, bring me Captain Speedy.
He will be like a madman.
Exits and immediately re-enters with Speedy, who rushes past Passepartout, fighting mad.
Where are we? Where are we?
707 miles from Liverpool.
Pirate!
I have sent for you, sir, to ask you to sell me your vessel.
No, by all the devils, no.
But I shall be obliged to burn her.
Burn the Henrietta?
Yes, at least the upper part of her, the coal has given out.
Burn my vessel? A vessel worth $50,000?
Here are 60,000.
Good heavens. I have forgotten in an instant my anger, my imprisonment, and all my grudges against you, sir.
Are we agreed?
Can I keep the iron hull?
The iron hull and the engine.
Agreed.
The vessel now belongs to me.
Oh, certainly. From the keel to the turret of the mast, all the wood, that is.
Very well. Have the interior seats, bunks, and frames pulled down and burn them.
On that day, the cabins, bunks, and the spare deck were sacrificed. On the next day, the 19th of December, the masts, rafts, and spars were burned. We all worked lustily, keeping up the fires. The railings, fittings, and the greater part of the deck and topsides disappeared on the 20th, and the Henrietta was now only a flat oak. But on this day, we sighted the Irish coast.
There's not enough wood left on the Henrietta to burn to get to Liverpool.
Is this Queenstown?
Aye.
Then we shall land here, take a train to Dublin, and board a steamer to Liverpool. There I shall only be 6 hours distant from London.
Liverpool.
Liverpool, good. As it is 20 minutes before noon, and we are but 6 hours from London, and in need of nothing, we must only find the next express mail train making ready and assure her departure.
Fix, conflicted, he approaches Fogg and places a hand on his shoulder.
You are really Phileas Fogg?
I am.
Well, then I arrest you in the Queen's name.
The devil!
My word!
Madame, it is a mistake. It is impossible.
As Fix takes Fogg off stage, newspapers take the stage.
Bank of England bandit captured.
Greatest robbery in history solved.
But no!
Infamous fugitive behind bars.
Criminal in custody, investigation closed.
Court appearance close at hand.
Lies!
Bank robber confesses only 3 days in captivity.
3 days?
James Strand confirmed Bank of England thief.
Strand acted alone, says Scotland Yard.
Oh my.
Why, you?
If Strand guilty, where is Phileas Fogg?
Ah!
Famous eccentric due home presently.
Phileas Fogg, famously forgotten failure.
Newspapers disperse as Fix leads Fogg to the stage, Passepartout and Aouda in tow.
It was a terrible mistake, the actual robber being in custody already. Let me assure you that Scotland Yard...
During Fix's poor attempt at apology, Fogg, in a single motion, simply shrugs his shoulders, letting Passepartout catch his jacket only long enough to knock Fix down with a right cross, leaning directly back into his jacket.
Yes, I quite deserve that.
Fix regains himself and exits.
The express has but just left 35 minutes ago. We will arrange for a special train and stimulate the engineer with a generous reward. There is not one moment to spare.
Look, the Reform Club.
We must hurry.
Fogg, slightly hurried with Passepartout and Aouda, becomes frozen as the strike of 9 o'clock begins. Neither Passepartout nor Aouda dare react. Fogg pushes against the first 4 chimes, but relaxes and obviously collects himself in time to give directions upon the quiet of the 9th chime.
My friends, I have traveled full round the world in 80 days and 1/4 hour. I have lost. Passepartout, we will need provisions and a room prepared for Madame Aouda. I will call for you at breakfast, but will require the whole of the morning and afternoon to put my affairs in order. I will require you in time for tea.
My master, Monsieur Fogg, it is my fault. Why do you not curse me?
I blame no one. Go. I will escort Madame Aouda home.
Offering his arm to Aouda, they exit.
But it is my fault. Had I warned Monsieur Fogg and betrayed Detective Fix, mon Dieu, Detective Fix, we would have never given that scoundrel passage. Passage? I should have fed him to the gulls. As we returned home, I extinguished the gas burner in my room, so I did not sleep. I had no need for it, as I kept vigil outside my master's door. He summoned me for breakfast, Madame Aouda first, and a cup of tea and a chop for himself, asking that she be excused from him from breakfast and dinner.
But of course.
Uncomfortable moment of silence as time passes.
My master, absorbed all day by his affairs, would now ask permission to have a few moments' conversation with Madame.
Of course.
Madame, I can do nothing myself, nothing. I have no influence over my master, but you perhaps.
What influence? Mr. Fogg is influenced by no one. Has he ever understood that my gratitude to him is overflowing? You say he wishes to speak with me?
Yes, madam, probably to arrange for your protection and comfort in England.
Precisely, yes. Thank you, Passepartout.
Thus dismissing him, Passepartout exits.
Madam, when I decided to bring you far away from the country which was so unsafe for you, I was rich and counted on putting a portion of my fortune at your disposal. Then your existence would have been free and happy. I ask for your forgiveness.
So, Mr. Fogg, not content with my rescue from a terrible death, you think yourself bound to assure my comfort indefinitely?
To that end, I beg to place what I have left at your service. I did wager 1/2 my fortune and have spent all but £1,000 in defense of that wager, but that amount well managed could keep a lady practically, if not splendidly, and I would like it to be yours.
But what will become of you, Mr. Fogg?
Oh, as for me, madam, I have need of nothing.
What about your friends, your relatives?
I am not a man of friends. I have no relations. I am prepared for what comes, but can only do so in good conscience if you are comfortable, and I will hear of nothing else.
Comfortable. Mr. Fogg, I pity your solitude, although I too share it. Forced from my country and my family, they are no longer my own. Friends as well, from all means I had in the world.
My doing entirely.
To be without means, however, is no burden compared to being alone. The saddest of grief is lightened by a heart alike to share it, a kinsman, a friend.
They say so, yes?
Then I offer myself.
Pardon?
At once, the kinswoman and friend you sorely needed. Phileas, look upon me as your devoted companion. I could find no comfort in your means unless I could do so as your wife, your partner, your mate. Those are my conditions. Please regard.
No, yes. While that would definitely not be necessary, if Madam would consider this, if you would consider this my offer of marriage.
Phileas.
I love you. Simply, yes, by all that is holiest, I love you and am entirely yours.
He starts to kneel as if to propose, and she stops him giddily before he can reach his knees.
I accept.
Passepartout.
Yes, monsieur. Oh.
Passepartout. If it is not too late, please go to the Reverend Wilson's and arrange for him to marry us.
It is only 5 minutes after 8. He will not have yet left the church, it being Sunday. Will it be for tomorrow, Monday, monsieur?
For tomorrow, Monday?
Yes, for tomorrow, Monday.
Excellent.
Passepartout?
Yes, monsieur.
Please do hurry.
Completely, Monsieur Fogg.
Fogg and Aouda exit, holding close to each other as Passepartout crosses and knocks on Reverend Wilson's door.
Yes?
Ah, Reverend Wilson. Unless I have found you, why are you not at the chapel? I went there and it was dark and empty, so parishioners is completely dispersed. I attempted every door.
Well, of course. The chapel is locked up tonight, my son.
Why are you not in your vestments and robe?
I do not wear them when I go on my parish rounds. Only my visiting coat, just as I do every Saturday evening.
Every Saturday evening? Mon Dieu! Not understanding the cause, but knowing the Saturday was indeed the terms of the wager, this means the gentlemen of the Reform Club were certainly assembled to complete the contest.
Lights up on Reform Club, a jovial atmosphere, but nervously so. A crowd is heard outside. Ralph, Fallentin, and Sullivan are at the table, Flanagan hovering, trying to play cards, but Stewart can't sit still. He rises as the lights come up.
Not again, Stewart. Sit down and play, or let Flanagan take your hand.
I just thought I heard something outside.
Yes, they call it a mob, Stewart. And this is a rather large one. You should be able to hear it for quite a distance.
But they keep getting louder for just a moment.
Because you keep getting nearer the window. Now play, sir.
Stewart gives up and sits, only to spring back up again almost immediately.
This is impossible.
Here, let me.
Stewart, don't let the publicity confound you. All the rabble needs is an excuse to crowd the streets for revelry. Let them count down their final minute, curse their bad luck, and spend their winnings on each other in the Haymarket.
I still can't relax.
Firstly, the China, the only transatlantic for the fortnight, arrived without him yesterday. Secondly, the final express from Dover arrived 23 minutes ago. Still no sign of him.
I think it's safe to assume Mr. Fogg is not waiting on the threshold, contriving a grand, dramatic entrance.
Suddenly, they all become quiet, and the outside noise slowly rises as the crowd begins counting at 10, 9, 8, 7.
Infuriating!
Pacing as the clock ticking becomes ferocious, he is facing away from the door as the chime of the quarter hour strikes, pushing Stewart to exclaim immediately,
"Thank God!"
Gentlemen, thank you so very much for meeting me this evening. How's the whist?
By heavens! I tell myself not to believe it, but here he stands.
What's this, Fogg? Has all the world given you a sudden flair for suspense?
All approach to congratulate him as Passepartout enters with the carpet bag and visas out.
Monsieur, you shall want this by way of proof.
This cannot be healthy, waiting until the last moment.
It's the last moment. But we actually arrived yesterday.
No, gentlemen, genuinely, I assure you, only by our calendar we arrived late.
First suspense, now fantasy. Mr. Fogg, in his absence, has become an episodic novella.
I confess an embarrassing oversight. You see, traveling eastward, one gains 4 minutes per degree of longitude traveled. 360 such advances, passing with such subtlety, led us to forget the discrepancy and thus ignore the day gained.
Remarkable.
I confess I'm as glad to see you well as I am sorry to lose a small fortune. This makes you a decidedly wealthy man, Mr. Fogg.
On the contrary, gentlemen, I intended to travel at your expense, and I have, exhausting just £1,000 shy of the total wager. To confirm it a matter of profitless honor, I make a gift of that remainder, half to my devoted servant Passepartout, minus, of course, an outstanding bill from the gas company, and the other half to a certain detective Fix, without whom things might well have ended differently. Now, gentlemen, if you will excuse me, I am expected.
But Fogg, the Times today claimed that even during your transit, a shorter route round the world came open. What say to you another wager?
Gentlemen, I have owned all I want of any ship, any bale, or any elephant. Besides, my friends, we are British, and what should I do if my servant were to rescue me yet another wife? Good night.
Fogg,
An elephant?
there's a stunned moment.
Wife?
We.
Blackout. End of play.
Bravo, guys. It was great.
Indeed it was. Thank you guys so much. Let me figure out how to stop the stream. Thank you people for watching. And thanks for being, I don't know, gullible.
Bye-bye.
We'll do it again in 11 years.
All right.